if we can have our borderless artists join us now. Can we? Can we? Yes, please. So good, Crystal. I really love that. Oh, hey. It's Mana.
Oh, hi. I'm live now. Cool,
Yes,
cool.
you are.
Good to
This
see you all.
is us being live.
Yes. I'm also excited to see my one of the dolls.
What an adult.
Here. Yeah, I am rather
How are you
excited.
doing tonight? What are you up to? What are you about to do?
It's been an interesting night. I don't know. Um, Mostly dealing with, don't talk about this, but I did mention like COVID and grief. So yeah, I
Mhm.
think like that's currently where I'm at the table. But yeah, excited
Yes.
to see y'all. Good to see Sahira as
How's
well.
this working? Is this working?
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah,
I
you
think
are hopping on. I'm so happy to see you, Mana, and I'm so happy to see you, Sahira.
yeah.
Thank you
I'm
for
sad that our
joining.
videos didn't end up working, but I'm happy to see everybody on here.
Yeah, like I said, I do have a clip, so I'll be able to play it after we talk, and it'll be like, hey, here's like a snapshot into hanging out with, having an artist chat, impromptu. I thought it was really cool though, so I think we should re-execute the idea again another time. But yeah, I'm happy that we have now and that we figured out how to do this live stream thing, and look at us. Look at us. Sahira, what were you just up to?
I just got home from a drag show, and I'm gonna do drag while we chat.
Where were you?
I was at Haven Brewing Company.
Where's
Hopefully
that?
there's not a feedback because I don't know how my computer is doing this right now.
You sound
I'm not the best.
good.
Okay, perfect. I was at a Haven Brewing Company. It was fun. There was like a mediocre turnout, but it was like a mostly older white crowd. But like it's Peterborough, so what else is new?
Yeah, that must be so weird. That's like every single experience you have almost, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Especially when you do, I'm assuming, daytime drag in Peterborough. It must be a lot of like, hi, a lot of older white people who are like, I'm here to see these people perform without understanding without the nuance of what queer, and especially like being queer and POC, like how that intersects.
It's true.
Yeah, how did your drag brunch go?
Oh my god, the brunch was so much fun. We had a really good turnout. I was so hot that day. Oh my god, it was disgustingly disgusting, but we somehow pushed through.
Is it something you're gonna continue? Because I was so sad to miss it.
Yeah, we're gonna do them like bi-weekly, and every 2 weeks we're gonna like swap out the people performing so that people get like different experiences.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Mhm.
I think that's really smart. I think like especially with like now kind of getting to see like live performances and seeing like how we try to like one also keep performers safe because like while like I don't want to be like the COVID girl, but like I feel like that girl. While like it's still like in existence that like not everybody you're surrounded by is vaccinated. Not all of these things are like available. So thinking about safety precautions and thinking about like, oh, well, like if I can switch out performers in order to keep other performers safer, makes a lot of sense, right?
Mhm.
I love that you are de-dragging while on with us.
Yes,
Because like,
get to know the real me, the
yeah,
woman behind the.
Yes, yes.
also part of drag that I think that people often do not think about is like the idea of like taking off that face. in so many ways, and also that like relegates into like other aspects of performance, right? So like for Sada, like having the like moniker Sarazi is like another like face that you put out that like not
Oh, I
even
definitely
not
feel like I'm in drag when I'm Shirazi, like, and I've definitely always felt that way, like getting on stage. Like, I definitely feel like, yeah, I'm putting on a face, not a character or something, but like I'm putting on this energy for you.
yeah.
Right.
I think of
I
it
feel
in
like with drag, like even once you're like de-dragged, I feel like I'm still Sahira. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
well, you are, but I think there are different levels to it, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Like I'm still the
Layers.
artist behind the mask.
For me, so much of it feels like, I mean, like,
Hey, Dan's in the chat. Hey, Daniel.
so much of the time, it definitely feels like there is this idea of like not quite a persona, like you said, but like this idea of like armor and protection. Like if you say mean stuff about me in this like space, like I am in the place where I'm like, okay, well, like fuck it, I'm fine. But I know that we're late night, and I'm hoping that it's okay that I said that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, don't
it's
worry.
like
This is definitely late night portion.
yeah. So it's just like this idea of like, hi, I'm at a stage where I can be like, oh, you didn't think that joke was funny about me being Muslima? Cool. Well, fuck you. This wasn't meant for you, 100%. Because I think like in so many ways of you will see my messy comedy in a minute. This idea of like creating things that I wish I got to see as like a black chubby Muslim girl in so many ways. Chubby queer Muslim girls. Ooh, look at that. The blue light is reflecting so well off those new glasses you have.
Oh, is it?
In like a good way. Like you look like a cool alien.
Yes, yes. In the
Yeah.
best way possible.
I meant that as like I like it. Like it's a look.
Sahira is the future.
Yeah. An icon, a legend, a star.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like so much of like I think all of our work comes from like our intersections and then also like experiences within like organizing and all of that. Like I think that like with
That's
Sahira's work,
true.
yeah. Because when I even look at like Sahira's doing like drag that's like high energy, but like also like make sure from the last times I've seen your shows, I don't know like I know that you like filter them in when you know that it's a receptive audience and not, but like you definitely be like, oh, here's an idea of social commentary in my work about like being black and being femme and how important it is to you. And yeah, and I respect that, like getting to see work that is like filtered, even if people see it as just like joyous black art, that like there is always because we are black by nature, we are also political. Because we are press groups by nature, we are also political.
Yeah, well, I really like, yeah, the connection you're making about like, yeah, like our organizing, our activism, but also just like our natural way of life where we're like, okay, we're trying to lift ourselves up and we're also like connecting with our community and wanting to lift each other up and like all be a part of like that push or that movement, you know? Like I feel like my art is definitely like tied to my intersections and where I'm coming from, but that's just because like my daily lived experience is pretty wild. And if I didn't have something to like process it with, like I don't know, I would just I don't know. I don't know what my life would be like, but that's not the point. I just feel like I don't know. I think it's cool that we continue to do things despite like all the challenges that come into our life because that's like the reality about it like that people don't realize is like there's so many things that get in the way of like, you know, surviving and thriving, and like, you know, you just because we can like put out like a show or something and go out and be like have a total night in the town and feel so amazing and invincible and like, you know, but then we have to deal with our lives and we have like so many intense things happening, and it's a lot to keep going, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think.
Daniel in this chat.
Oh, I can't
Yes.
see the chat right now. So
Oh,
what is?
okay. Pretty much he's like, time to bring the noise. Crystal Jones says she's having technical difficulties. I'm saying we await you. Daniel says he's a musician, not a comedian. I beg to differ. Daniel, you're pretty funny.
I mean, you are
Yeah.
pretty funny. I was talking about my experiences, but like Daniel, whatever works for you, babe. And I'm here for you, homie. I saw him posted up on Afropunk, which was super dope to see.
Dude, the new album is so good. Okay, I
I'm so excited
pre-ordered
to
it.
listen to it. I haven't listened to it yet. And just to hype up another borderless artist like Daniel from John Crow, fucking fire ass. I don't know if I'm like, he's a fire ass nigga. Like, that's all I'm gonna say. Like, he's dope. He has some good ass music. And I'm really happy that, like, thanks to Sada, got in touch with John Crow and have had them for 2 years in a row for like Black History Month blowout. So, like,
Yeah. Yeah,
to
like
like,
the epic lineup too of like having John Crow play and then having like Sahira come out and
yeah,
dance. Like we've had
like,
like some pretty great lineups, like, and
yeah,
connections.
I do appreciate like having someone like you creating Borderless gave me this like avenue to find a lot of Black artists that like I didn't personally know. Like I knew of Daniel and John Crow and like I automatically thought of them, but like other people that I didn't really know and like getting their info and stuff like that through you, like I do want to say that like I think that Borderless in terms of being people who are like not only POC but like queer, it's like a very great avenue for finding like organizing and all of this stuff. So
Yeah,
I do
like
want to say
kindred
like shout
spirits,
out to
like
Border.
like-minded.
Yeah. Shout out to Borderless for creating really good spaces for folks, right?
Oh, I'm so grateful. I'm grateful, honestly, that we've like persisted so long and that like my intuition was correct because I really just didn't want to accept that, you know, like I really love Peterborough and I just wanted to like I'm like I feel like it can be better. I feel like we can make it better. I think it
Yeah.
is better than how it's presented.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I love that as a like
And it's
a
and we're beyond the Peterborough borders too. Like we are totally like just because we're all here right now, like in
On
this
the Peterborough
time.
border, like saying we're borderless.
Yeah, right? Like we are totally outside this.
yeah, because I'm thinking about like I not only represent like living in Peterborough right now, but I represent DC, I represent Kenya and Somalia, like places that I've lived in, and Toronto, like I've lived in these places, and like they have an impact on things. And like I know for anybody, even though like culturally I may be this, all of the cultures I've lived in, be them just a city or like an entire physical culture, have like affected who I am and how I move in the world, right?
Exactly. And
So
like
like
we're
I think,
international people still, even if like even for example, I'm like born here and I'm like, why am I so connected to the international community? It took me a long time to realize why. Like I literally had to be like, oh yeah, I grew up in an international community. Then I came to
yeah,
Trent, found a white community, got confused, and then was like, no, but there's a community here and like my dad lives like all the way across in Iran. I haven't seen him in
yeah.
7 years. So like a
I
part of
love
my
that.
life is not here, and I don't reflect fully here, even though I'm born here and from here. It's so weird to like talk about those things and connect to so many different experiences. Like everyone that I meet, like all of us, like we have such different stories and like migration stories and like timelines and family lines like stretching like from this country, province, continents, all of us, like so many of the borderless artists, and then then artists that are actually here too that are indigenous to this land. So yeah, I don't know. I've just been obsessed with this idea of borderlessness, and that yeah, we've been streaming for so long. It's because we have so much to unpack, you know? Earlier we were talking with Jay, we were talking with Yumna, talking with Kelly, Cassandra. Like we just have so much to relate with, but also we have such unique experiences, and we have so much content. Then here we are, as Danny says, streaming for 4 hours, 20 minutes. He needs to take a toke break. And it's really great because we're like elevating together. Like we've not done this. Look at us. We're on. Look at this. What is this? I can't
I mean,
imagine it.
I'm on my phone, so
Yeah.
I feel like the dingiest person because I realize my laptop isn't doing sound again. Because my laptop goes in and out of moments where it's like, I respect being a sound microphone thing for you. And it's like, I forgot her. I don't want to do it anymore. So it was like,
But
I
it
have to.
works. But it works. It
Yeah,
works.
but it looks like gauzy in these lights. I don't love it, but it exists. I'm here.
But
It
we made it
happened.
happen. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
This
like,
is
in
just our
terms of,
first version. This is
yeah,
like our little baby stream. Although it's not
yeah.
such a baby stream, like we go big. Like I don't play. Danny was like, we should just do 2 days. I was like, no, it's 4 days. And this has
I
been like
mean,
the
can I just say the idea of Sada called me. I remember when you called me. I was in DC on the way to drive to Richmond. Calls me like while I'm in the States, like in Virginia, driving to Richmond. I'm like, okay, what is Sada calling me about? And Sada's all like, yo, do you want to do Borderless? And I was like, wait, but like, she was like, I do not care how it's happening. Borderless is happening this year. I need it. I think you need it. Like, do you want to do it? Like, just like, I was like, I'm driving. And like, honestly, I was like, you know
like
what? Fuck it.
yes or
I'm in.
no. Yes or
And I was
no.
just like, you literally were all like, but when I want an answer. And I was like, okay, the answer is yes. But like, I loved
Like
the
don't
like,
skirt around it, okay?
yeah, exactly. The fact that you're like, I know that I should be professional. Like, I think at one point you're like, I know I should like give you time to think of it, but like, I know that you're a person who backs out. So like, yes or no. And I was like, okay, yes, because I'm driving and I'm really bad at saying no to people also. And I was like, okay, yes.
I'm
And I
glad
mean,
you said yes.
I'm really happy that I
I
did
think you're too
not.
down on yourself all the time about, you were like, I don't know about this video. And I'm like, you're funny. Come on. Like, we gotta record you. You have to just not stop being like so harsh on yourself. You're so funny. I love talking to you.
I don't know. We've talked about like white people and their humor and all of these things.
Ugh,
And it definitely
ugh,
affects, like how I view myself in so many ways because like I am
that
not
voice.
And
like
you're like
Eurocentric.
measuring your, or like you're like measuring your funniness on how white people would measure your funniness. You
Yeah.
don't measure it like that. You're funny nonetheless. You're funny to us. And we
Yes.
ain't white, so if you're funny to us, you funny.
You're funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I get it though. It's that negative voice because that is like that's how I envision the white voice, the negative white voice in the back of the room. Oh, Borderless is all peer pressure. Do you know how many of my friends I've just been like, "You're doing a video, right?" Like, but even before that, like I honestly I love people so many different people, and I'm like, please just do something. Like, just face your fears or whatever it is, because I know you kind of want to do it. I know you kind of but we encourage each other. I also feel like I get that encouragement too from people that I also prod. I feel like that. I don't know. I
I
think
like that
it's
you said
good to
encourage.
bully.
That's the way of saying peer pressure.
Huh?
I like that you said encouragement. That's a nicer way of saying peer pressure.
Yeah, no, I see it as encouragement because like I see it as like, if someone thinks you can do something, like if they think like, oh, you can play a show. Like for example, if someone asks me to play a show, I'm like, sweet, thank you. And I know it sounds dumb because I organize so many shows, but like, I actually don't get asked to do very many. That's why I organize my own shows. But it's like, when you're asked to do something creative with someone, it's like, I don't know, it feels, even if it's not like you're doing it with them, if they're like, oh, I think it would be cool if you did this, or like, oh, you should do that idea. I don't know. I feel like you should pressure people a little bit, like your friends, if like you see that they want to do something. I don't know. It's encouragement, it's not pressure. But it's
Within
like just saying like, oh, if you just do this, or you could do this, or I don't know.
within the like realm of consent, like if someone is very adamantly no, like obviously
Oh yeah,
no.
no, obviously. Yeah,
Yeah. But
no.
like
But like coming out
because
of nowhere and being like, hey, do you want to do this show?
I think because of the fact that one, you saw my first like stand up ever, and then two, because of the fact that it was an interesting time for me when doing that, that like I appreciate you being like, hi, you were funny, and like I remember this being funny, I would like you to do this again, which was like very validating after that experience.
Yeah,
Not
because sometimes you just wonder, you're like,
yeah,
how was that?
yeah, exactly, because like I feel like although people laughed, I never got like actual, it was like, oh, this is so cool that you did this. It didn't really feel like I got feedback about whether I was actually funny or not until like you were like, no, I think you were really funny about this. Like you should continue to do this. Um, and I appreciate stuff like that. I think that like in so many ways, I think especially in my personal experience, being the child of like being first gen as a kid, like having parents who were very much like, if you can't do it perfect, then don't do it at all is like kind of sometimes like a thing that runs in my head. And I'm like, oh, well, like
Yeah,
it
why?
did
Why
go
bother?
perfectly. Yeah, exactly. I am that girl. I have heard those voices enough in my head that I just like internalize it. If it's not going to be perfect, if I don't do it as well as I want to, then why
Mm-hmm.
even go through with it? In terms
Mm-hmm.
of like artistic or like non-academic pursuits, because my parents
Mm-hmm.
were like, "Oh, you try and try in terms of academia, but like everything else, they were like, you're not good at it. Give it up." So like for me,
Mm.
I like fully am somebody who's like probably left things earlier than I should have. And I appreciate Borderless and like all of our pals here, like for encouraging us and encouraging like this entire movement of having like maybe not the most established artists, but having like artists like come out here for this, right?
Yeah. No, but we are establishing ourselves. Like we are relentless. That's how I see all of us. Like we just like do art and we just do our shows and we just keep evolving and growing and we're just gonna keep doing it anyway. Like
Yeah,
so yeah.
I
Yeah, we
appreciate you.
we have to definitely know perfection. My whole philosophy has been DIY it, fuck it up,
Yeah.
learn from it, and then do it better, learn how to do it better. And also learn how to feel better in the process. I feel like that's a big thing. I used to hate on myself through like a lot of stuff and I definitely still do. Like I say that like as if it's the past. Like, I
Miss
feel like
Molly
it's a
Cyrus.
process of, like, trying to enjoy it too. Yeah. Um, yeah.
Sahira was going to say something. What were they
Yeah,
going to say?
what did they say?
Said, as Miss Miley Cyrus put it best, nobody is perfect.
Yes, Miley Cyrus was very right.
I don't know. I still have problems with that lady, but like, bet.
I forgot about Miley Cyrus.
I don't know. I've never forgiven her for all of those like very black scenty things.
I literally have always found her cringy, so,
Those are my
like,
problems.
I've just enjoyed
But
seeing that.
I have friends who love her, and I'm like,
I
that's
know.
it.
I don't hate on anyone for loving other people like that, but yeah.
No, I think everybody. I think there's something in like media that we like literally need to stop where it's like, "Hi, I have better taste than you," because like we all have things that like somebody else at some point in our friendship will be like, "I have a fucking Bob's Burgers tattoo." Like at some point, somebody's gonna be like, "Really, that show?" And I'm gonna be like, "Really, that show?" Like I love that show. But that's just a me thing. Like, not all of your media landscape has to resonate with all of your friends or make sense to everybody else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, Sunny Side Up said something about used to fear trying things and feared attention. And I feel that a lot. Fearing the attention. There's a lot of things that come with attention.
I mean, like, I love the idea of attention until I get it a
Until you
lot.
get it, you're like, ah!
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely like this switch off in my brain where I'm like, pay attention to me, pay attention to me. Oh my god, that's too much.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I don't resonate with wanting attention, but I definitely want attention if I'm going out on stage. But then I feel like there's this thing with people, especially with gendered people getting up on stage, they're like, "Well, what are you doing this for? Like, why are you like who do you think you are up there doing that? Or like what does that mean? Like what are you trying like what kind of attention are you trying to get?" And there's just you see so many different people's like I don't know fears come out, but also like yeah, I don't know. Society qualifies good art as art that gets the most attention in the chat. Yeah, 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 yeah. No, it's really hard to have to accept attention and to like have control or something over it. I don't know. How do you feel about that, Sahira? Like as being like a drag performance artist and like getting up and having to like command the stage so much.
Well, I'm a Leo, so I love attention.
So it comes natural
At the
to
same
you.
time, I kind of understand what you mean. Attention also means scrutinization, which I feel like most people are afraid of in like when it comes to like attention. It's that
Mhm.
scrutinization. Um, but at the same time, it also like forces you to like be a better person because like you're under a magnifying glass and everyone is watching your every not only a better person but also a better performer, right? They're watching your every move, everything you say, everything you're doing. So I think in a way like it forces you to like sharpen yourself, but
Mhm.
at the same time I could see how people are afraid of like being in that position.
Yeah, I feel like it's really out of control sometimes or something. I don't know. I like having to like I don't know. Yeah, it's super related to vulnerability. And I feel like if you can like get on stage and conquer those fears and be really vulnerable, it's like the most powerful thing in the world. And if you can
And
like
it's
yeah.
actually more relatable to be vulnerable on stage because people they want to see that. It's what they will like connect to. It's what they'll take back home with them. It's what they'll remember the next day. You know?
But I
Yeah, it's
do
like
think
raw energy.
but I think there is this dual-edged sword to that because like I feel like because so much of us have been online for so long, there's a very much personified idea of like fake vulnerability that like I don't know, but like I'm not saying like I'm somebody who taps into this a lot, but like there is like, oh, I'm sharing a little bit, but I'm making it look like a lot in order to show that like realness, if you will, because like there is a way that like in my mind fake vulnerability or even like the ideas of fakeness are, when employed by certain like objectified people, is like very much a safety net,
My
right?
gosh, I'm loving this. I'm also loving what Yumna said about growing up in a shame-based culture, and generalizing performance art and art in general is such a powerful tool to break free of that shame cycle, but that the attention is scary because it stems from that cultural trauma. And I really feel that. I actually now I think I understand. I'm really glad you said it in that way, Yumna, because now I think I understand my attention in that way, and that I feel like, yeah, I'm trying to break the shame. That I definitely feel I grew up in a lot of shame, and I'm coming out really wacky and like loud and wanting to like really come against it. I don't know.
I
That
mean,
is really cool.
I I know that I've had conversations with people in this community about it, but like the idea of worrying about like your Somali uncles, your Arab uncles, your Indian uncles, like people who are, you're like, they're laying in the cut and they see you. And it's like, oh, did I like, we're in the same place. So like they can't like come, especially being queer, like they can't comment on me being in the same place. But like I don't know if they found a workaround. Is this mutually assured destruction? Like I definitely feel like a lot of my shame came from like, who's gonna see me out doing this shit, right?
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
what auntie is going to see this and like message my mom about it? Because like as like a first generation person, even though like Borderless is so removed from like my specific community, there is always that ongoing fear. You're like, what auntie sees this, takes a video of it, sends it to my mom?
Yeah,
And I
that's
think
always a fear.
it's always been a fear of mine. I don't know why. Anytime I'm like, even like when I was home in DC, I was like walking around and I went out with like a friend of mine and I was like, oh, that's Somali auntie. We need to go hide here. I don't want to have a conversation with her. We're just gonna hide in this alleyway for a couple of seconds and then we can run to the metro station to catch this train.
Stream.
Like it's like
Aunties in
always
the
been
stream, show
together.
yourselves.
Aunties are wild.
I
As
had to
somebody
hide
who
my
felt
story, Instagram story from my dad on Instagram and my aunt. Yeah.
yeah, aunties are out here. Aunties troll like all of these videos with a deep level of like sneakiness. Like my aunties are like in the cut all the time. Um, but also I've just like learned to live my life. Like I'm now an auntie, like I'm now 30. So I'm like, I get to like now embody what I want this new idea of auntie to be, which is like community care, mutual aid, like hyping up people. Like this is like the new auntie that
The
I
new
want.
auntie.
The new
Yes.
auntie, like yeah,
My
because I think like
friend
yeah.
doesn't light up. Mm. Anyway,
Oh,
we should probably cut to our next film soon.
yes.
Uh, what what should we what have we discussed? How have we done? Okay. Oh, I wanted to talk about there was this story, Sahira, that I remember you talking about really briefly when we did have the Borderless Lounge set up. Um, and we do have a clip that we can play, and I think it would be cool to play it um, after we do this chat. But it was about you like doing a drawing of yourself and like your mother or something, like looking at it. Do Do you recall what story this is?
I do remember.
Yeah, could you tell us about it?
I don't know like how much of the clip has it, but like I can just retell the story if you want.
Yeah, sure.
So I think basically what I had said was that I did a drawing of myself like in drag or like a femme version of myself, and my mom saw it and was like, "Wow, that's so good. Who is this girl?" And I was like, "No, mom, that's me." And it was just hard for her to like wrap her head around that like I drew myself as like a femme human or like a girl basically. And
Mhm.
then I believe when I had asked if that was like my way of coming out to them as like genderqueer or gender fluid, and then the response to that was like no, because for my parents, like that conversation will never happen because they're just so deep in denial about the fact that I'm queer that like they don't even understand what gender is. It's like you're either a boy or a girl, so like it's just something that they just is just over their head. You
They
know what I
don't
mean?
talk about it. It's just like there.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's the really interesting thing is like we both have parents who are about the same age, both leaving similar East African countries. And I think only because of the fact of like my dad being an engineer and working with people who are like nowadays coming out that way, and then my mom being in healthcare like her whole life, that like my mom is like really good at it. My mom will never accept if it's one of us. But like with other people, like if I explain to my mom like these are my friends' pronouns, she's just like, got it done, packed, easy. But like if it was any of us as kids, it's like a whole different story, which I feel terrible about. But like I am glad at least to know that like if my parents were to meet my friends, that like at least my friends wouldn't feel I don't know, a microaggression from my parents, but like my parents are very good at being like, we believe like everybody gets to do whatever the hell they
Wow.
do, but are very much like, you are our children and you are our legacy, and therefore you do what we want you to do. So it's like, even though they believe like all of these people are valid and like all of this is okay, they're like, well, that's not my child. And I think that's also a difference when you have like, especially immigrant families or like first generational families or even like in all different kinds of ways families, they're like this very much like ability to like pull yourself out of it and be like, oh, I can be human to other people but not maybe to my children.
I don't know. I feel like I can't be my natural self in front of my family. Or if I am, actually, I feel like I am, but I feel like they just don't understand it either, and I just don't bother like explaining.
Yeah.
But I don't like, I'm still on the
There's
level
no
where
point
like
in
my,
explaining because they're refusing to listen. So
Mhm.
it's like, why
yeah,
are you
that's what it
explaining?
is. Yeah, like I still get like my armpit hair like literally grabbed. Like like I just don't understand like after so many years like I never shaved like all through high school. Like I just don't, and it's such a small little thing, but it's something that they've just like never clued into to just like ask me more about like who I am or like why I am the way I am. They're just like, "Oh, you're a tomboy," or like, oh, like for example, when I dress up, they're like, "Oh, I love when did the Cleopatra thing or something," because that's when I became like, I did start doing my cat eye and I wore some heels and stuff and had like lipstick. And they were like, "Oh, now you're not a tomboy, you're not a boy, you're this this Cleopatra." And I'm like, "What?" And I'm like, why is my form always getting mocked like whenever I'm doing something, it's always being gendered? Like I'm either being too masculine or I'm being too femme, and I just don't understand why we can't have like conversations about this on like a more like on this level that we have them. I'm just like, how come I can't have this ever with my family, even like my siblings and even like my brother who's queer, but like, he's coming from a whole different like place from it, and I'm just like, have to ask him whether we're going to a bar that's queer friendly, and he's like, "What do you mean? I'm there." And I'm like, "Fuck, like this guy doesn't see like how
That would be
different forms
good.
of queerness can like be unsafe or uncomfy in like different spaces, you know? Like, I don't know. Yeah, anyway, that's just my little gender ramble.
I don't know. I think like it's weird because like my parents are very good like when it comes to my friends, but my parents are very terrible when anything comes to me. Like anytime I'm like having a conversation about like my queerness, because like I'm bi, but like most of my term relationships have been with other queer people, that my parents are all like, well, that's a phase. And I was like, Mom, but Hoya, it's obviously not a phase at this point. We've been having this conversation since I was 18. I'm now 30. It's over a decade that we've been having these conversations. Um, but I think like at the end of the day, like I just decided to be like, I'm gonna be my most honest self because like I'm not scared of my family. And that's like I know that is a privilege that I have as like somebody who is Somali, somebody who is Muslim. Like I know that I have this privilege to not be frightened of my family, that
Hmm.
they would protect me in situations. Um,
I
so yeah,
totally,
I
yeah.
understand.
You
Yeah.
definitely, you're so lucky, Mana! We love you.
It's
And
the one of the few things I get to be like very lucky in, is the fact that like I have parents who will like always aim to protect me, and I think like part of that also like definitely got more solidified in this year because of the fact that like experiencing my younger brother passing, like it definitely like elevated their ability to like care. Um,
yeah,
and
took the
like
empathy to the
understand
next
that they
level.
were, yeah, like they were always there and willing to get in the middle of fights, but I think like it's gotten to them, and I love them for it. And now I feel like I'm gonna cry. So
No, Mana, I'm giving you a hug. Okay, we're doing a topic switch and we're giving you a
yeah.
kiss kiss. Also,
um
who's listening right now? If you're listening, you should take a sip of water and you should thank your mother for birthing you because you're beautiful. You're beautiful.
Moms are
You're
brilliant.
beautiful. You're beautiful. Okay,
You're beautiful. Everyone's beautiful.
you're
I do have
beautiful.
to leave though
Yes,
because I do
okay.
probably.
We should wrap this part up. Thank you guys so much for coming. And honestly, this conversation's been so good. I was like, yeah, we're gonna keep it short, but this was too good, you know? I really love everything that we're talking about, and I love all the work that, you know, you guys have done and continue to do. So I hope, yeah, that we can keep motivating each other and loving each other and spreading the community love.